Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. I've got another shout out to get to coming up at the end of the video, so please stay tuned for that. And I apologize for the sun in the background. It's just a very bright Friday here in Northeast Georgia. Today we're going to be talking about some of the upcoming college football games tonight and tomorrow. Any thoughts on any of the games, please feel free to let me know. Tonight there's 5 games on the docket, but only 2 that involve ranked teams. So those are the 2 that I wrote down. One is Memphis going up against Houston, and Houston is number 24 right now. And then we have San Diego State, who is ranked number 19, going up against UNLV. And then tomorrow we have a big-time game that involves 2 top 10 teams, and that's number 7, Michigan State, and number 4, Ohio State. Now, Ohio State is currently ranked number 4, and they have a very, very tough stretch of games coming up. And if they win all 3 of these games, they definitely deserve to be in the playoffs. They've got Michigan State, like I said, tomorrow. And then, of course, they'll play their arch rival Michigan next week, who's also a highly ranked team. And if they win both of those games, then in 2 weeks, in the Big Ten championship game, they'll either play Wisconsin or Iowa. And both of those teams are still highly ranked. So Ohio State might have 3 straight games against very highly ranked teams. We'll have to wait and see if they get by Michigan State and Michigan. And of course, if you have not heard yet, Michigan State is giving their head coach, Mel Tucker, a 10-year deal worth $95 million. That's an unprecedented amount of money and an unprecedented contract, especially for a guy who's only coached there for 2 years, and they weren't any good last year. But they're only doing it because his name has been mentioned in so many of the head coaching vacancies, especially the LSU job. So I guess Michigan State figured if they give him this long-term contract worth $9.5 million a year, he won't leave. But now the problem is it's a 10-year deal for $95 million, and if he doesn't leave to go somewhere else during that time and he stays at Michigan State, if he has 2 or 3 straight bad years and they fire him, they're going to be in debt for a long time. You don't see many coaches go to a school and coach for 2 years and get a contract this big, and especially for this amount of money. And then we have number 10, Wake Forest, going up against Clemson. Now, if this game was in Winston-Salem, I would say Wake Forest wins. But being that it's in Clemson and it's senior day and Clemson has won more than 30 straight games at home, I think Clemson has a pretty good shot to win the game. Since Dave Clawson has been at Wake Forest has not scored more than 20 points in a game. Nobody else can stop that offense, but Brent Venables has no problem stopping that offense. Now, Wake Forest has scored at least 35 points in every game this year. They're the only team in America that scored at least 35 points in every game this year. I don't think they'll score 35 tomorrow. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I don't think they will. But will Clemson score 35? I don't know. Wake Forest defense is awful. It's atrocious. It's god-awful. It's terrible. But as bad as their defense is, I still don't know if Clemson has the offense to score 35 plus. I think if Clemson has a chance to win the game, it needs to be something like 28-24, 28-27, 31-28, somewhere along in there. If this game gets in the 40s, I don't see Clemson winning the game. But I think if they can hold Wake Forest to 28 and under, they might have a chance. And then, of course, we have Illinois against Iowa. And I bring this game up because, like I just mentioned, Iowa still has a chance to win their half of the Big Ten. Iowa has a better overall record than Wisconsin, but that's because Wisconsin had the early season non-conference loss to Notre Dame, but Wisconsin beat Iowa, and right now they have the same exact conference record. So as of right now, Wisconsin would win their half of the Big Ten, but it looks like it's going to either be Wisconsin or Iowa. Iowa's number 17 on the season. This game has a 2 o'clock kickoff on Fox Sports 1. A November 2 o'clock nationally televised football game is an odd kickoff time. And then we have number 21, Arkansas, against number 2, Alabama. And I'm not a big Razorback fan, but I'm pulling for them in this game tomorrow. And then we have SMU going up against Cincinnati. Now, a lot of folks don't know that SMU is actually a pretty good football team with a really high-powered offense. So this should be a good football game. And then we have Nebraska going up against Wisconsin. And again, Wisconsin has a chance to win their half of the Big Ten. And Nebraska has pretty much been playing everybody competitive all year long. They've been staying in every game that they play. They just can't win. And I'm shocked that Nebraska has already announced that Scott Frost will be back next year. I don't understand that. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. You had Frank Zolich years ago after Tom Osborne retired, who won 9 games a year, and it wasn't good enough, so you fired him. And then recently you had Pelini as your head coach, who won 9 games every single year, and it wasn't good enough, so you fired him. And you bring in Scott Frost, who's been there 4 years and has not made it to a bowl game yet, and you bring him back for at least 1 more year. That makes no sense to me. I understand he played there. I get that. But that shouldn't mean you keep your job just because you played there. So you're going to suck every single year but keep the guy because he played there? I don't understand that. And then we have UAB against number 22, UTSA. And I only wrote this game down because I want to see if UTSA can finish the season undefeated. And if they do, I want to see, can they make it into maybe the top 15 if a few teams ahead of them lose. But the UTSA football program is not very relevant. Even this year, they're not very relevant. But up until this year, they have never been any good. So, of course, now that they have a pretty young head coach who has put them on the map in a couple of years, his name is now being mentioned in a lot of head coaching jobs. And then we have number 3, Oregon against number 23, Utah. Now, early in the season, Utah was bad. They were dreadful. But if you remember before the season started, I mentioned they had Baylor transfer quarterback Brewer as their quarterback. And Brewer did a pretty good job at Baylor, but for whatever reason, it just didn't work out at Utah. And he actually lost his job by about week 3, and they benched him and put in Cam Rising, which, by the way, Cam Rising is a great name for a quarterback. But then right after that happened, Brewer announced he was leaving, and ever since that happened, Utah has been playing a whole lot better. So it would not surprise me at all to see Utah beat Oregon tomorrow night, in which Oregon is number 3 right now, so it would be another top 5 team going down. But Utah is playing a whole lot better now. Had these two teams played about week 3, Oregon would have just demolished them. But now Utah has a legitimate chance to win this game. And then we have Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. And, of course, I wrote this game down because Oklahoma State comes in ranked number 9 currently. And, of course, they play Oklahoma next week. So if Oklahoma State can win this game, it should be another top 10 matchup next weekend when Oklahoma plays Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's defense just continues to get better and better, and their offense has actually slowly but surely gotten better as the year has progressed. Now, Oklahoma State actually has a chance to make the playoffs if they can win tomorrow and then beat Oklahoma next week and then beat whoever they play in the Big 12 title game, because some of the teams ahead of them play each other, so somebody has to lose. So if Oklahoma State wins out and then goes 12-1 overall, they have a legit chance of making the playoffs, which is something nobody would have seen coming back before the year started. Now, my shout out today goes out to my man Brian, who lives in the upstate of South Carolina, and he is, of course, a Clemson fan and wanted me to say, go Tigers. He is also a Braves fan, so I told him and I should get along very, very well since he likes Clemson and the Braves. He subscribed to the channel yesterday, and Brian, we greatly, greatly appreciate you subscribing to the channel. And now that you have subscribed, if you choose to comment in the comment section, once you comment, you will be eligible for our 1,000 subscriber giveaway we'll be having whenever we get to 1,000 subscribers. So tell your friends, tell your family, spread the word, and again, we greatly, greatly appreciate it. And go Tigers. Let's hope they pull off the upset tomorrow over Wake Forest. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. I was wondering why music was coming from my printer. Apparently the paper was jamming. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.